Not going toe-to-toe with Kraus. Shoot, score!
Well, we've been saying we were going to do this for a long time, but I guess we're doing it now. Welcome to From the Cheap Seats, an Avs fan podcast from 9 News. I'm Steve Staeger, Geoff Sawtell on the other end of the table here, and we're talking Avalanche hockey from a fan's perspective is what the goal of this podcast has long been, and happy to have you along, Geoff.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Is this your first experience in radio?
First experience being on the microphone in radio.
Yeah.
I've produced and run the audio board before, but never talked into the mic.
Right?
So
Yeah, it's all
we'll
good.
see how I can screw this up.
We found a room in the building that appears to work, the 9 News conference room. It's
Very luxurious.
not super cavernous. It's the least cavernous room that we could find, so we apologize if the audio is a little tinny and hollow. But we're going to talk about the Avs on this podcast. We call it From the Cheap Seats. Geoff and I have season tickets from literally the cheap seats so high that we could touch the roof of Pepsi Center from where we're sitting.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. But we want to bring in your perspectives more and more often. I've already had some great conversations with people on Twitter about getting you on the show. And so hopefully we'll be able to do that soon, getting a few of them on the show. Coming up a little bit later, we're going to talk to Mark Castellano as our first guest, the Avalanche organist.
Very cool guy.
Even bringing in the organ, which is going to be awesome. So we'll get with him in just a little bit. But we should obviously talk about news of the day and I guess of the week. And in the off season, news really happens, I guess, by the week, not by the day.
Generally, yeah.
This week, the Avalanche, a lot of them were participating in a celebrity golf tournament for Joe Sakic's charity. And it gave us the chance to catch up with Joe Sakic and ask him about Mikko and the Mikko situation. Here's the captain talking about the Mikko situation.
We're a month away, so yeah, we haven't had much dialogue since the draft, but camp's coming around, so there's gonna be pressure on both sides, and we're looking forward to the opportunity of having Mikko back. We're sure he's gonna be back here.
So you heard him. Looking forward to having him back. We're sure he's going to be back. I want to dial up, if we can, Ryan S. Clark from The Athletic, because he might be able to kind of give us some info on this. So I'm going to dial him in right now. If I can find his number. There it is. Hopefully this works for him. This is our first attempt at a phone call. We're going to voice call Ryan.
Hey, Steve. How's it going?
All right, Ryan S. Clark from The Athletic joining us on the phone right now. So we're talking about Mikko. Thank you for joining us, by the way. You're like the first podcast guest we've ever had.
Hey, what do you know?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Joe Sakic this week. Were you at the golf tournament?
Dude, we hung out and talked, I thought. Oh, no, wait. No, that was Nick Rothschild I saw. I'm sorry. It's like between you, Michael Spencer, and Rothschild. It's just like I see all of you. You're like Agent Smith. You're just like, hi. We're all good-looking and brown-haired and dark-haired.
Oh, whatever. I have a beard. I should be easy to tell apart now, right?
You grew a beard now, really?
I
See,
did.
I haven't seen you since the playoffs, so you
I know.
didn't have a beard.
Oh, I had a beard during the playoffs. That was the part of growing the beard.
It must not have been that memorable of a beard, or it must have been just coming in, because I don't remember it.
I think, and it frankly is not that much of a memorable beard now. So it's all good. I don't know. Somehow I've snowed these people here at Channel 9 to let me keep a beard, despite the angry viewer email that we get about it all the time. All the time.
You know, it's funny that this podcast is going off the rails so quickly, because it's like, you're like, yeah, we get angry news, about, the beard. And it's like, toss up, what gets more angry viewer emails? That your beard or anything Kyle Clark wears? Because every time I turn around, it's like, I don't like your candy striped blazer. And it's like, I thought the concentration was on the news here, not his fashion choices, but I guess I was wrong.
He grew a beard at one point, and I swear to God, somebody almost lit the place on fire. It was the weirdest thing ever. There was a mob outside waiting for us, just angry that he was wearing candy stripes and a beard at the same time. But he shaved it, thank God, so that I can maintain the only beard. I guess Geoff has a beard too, right? You have a beard. By the way,
I do.
Ryan, this is Geoff Sawtell. He's here with me as well.
Hey, Geoff, how's it going?
Doing good, Ryan. Thanks for coming on.
So let's talk about Mikko. We just heard sound. We just heard sound from Joe Sakic saying basically it'll get done, but it sounds like not a lot has been done since the draft.
Not really, and it's because the Avalanche are in a position where, like so many teams right now, you're waiting to see what goes on with this young restricted free agent class, Group 2 RFAs to be more specific, of young forwards that just are really talented. They're cornerstone pieces. But at the same time, it's kind of seeing what happens first with different teams. So we saw Timo Meier with the San Jose Sharks sign his deal. We saw Sebastian Aho with the Carolina Hurricanes. He was given an offer sheet by the Montreal Canadiens, and of course the Hurricanes matched it. But what we're now looking to see is this class of guys like Mikko Rantanen, Braden Point with the Tampa Bay Lightning, Mitch Marner, of course, with the Toronto Maple Leafs, Patrick Laine with the Winnipeg Jets, really Kyle Connor with the Winnipeg Jets. Again, there's a whole cadre of these guys, and it's really waiting to see who the first domino is. And it's hard to say who that will be. Some seem to think it would be Mitch Marner. And the thought is the Marner camp wants $11.534 million, which is exactly what Austin Matthews got. But if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, that's going to be 3 players between Matthew Marner and John Tavares who have contracts more than $10 million annually. And you have a salary cap. And just like a GM told our Craig Customs, the other day for a story, like that's just insane to have 3 players with that kind of salary. So really that's the latest with Mikko Rantanen. It's seeing just kind of where things are going to fall.
So it seems you're saying a lot of these GMs sort of waiting to see how it all falls together. If Toronto starts struggling and not getting anything moving, at what point, how close to the season do you get before some GM blinks and says, okay, we're just going to do our guy regardless?
It all depends on the team. Because, let's look at Tampa and let's look at Colorado. We'll start with Colorado. Mikko Rantanen is a huge piece. There's no denying it. You could argue second most important player in the team behind Nathan MacKinnon. As camp gets closer, they're going to want him here. He said in the past he wants to be in Colorado for a long time. Joe Sakic has said that he wants to get him under a long-term deal. So it's just a matter of finding the right price point. And the Avalanche do have the salary cap space to do it. It's north of $14 million. It's between 14 or 16, not offhand, but either way, it's the second highest figure in the NHL. So the money is there. It's just a matter of what's a price point that works for the player, that works for the team, that allows the Avalanche to have money if they need to go make a move later this season to bring in a piece, whether it be with the forwards or defense. But also it's what's the precedent that this is going to set? Because you think about the next 4 years. Gabriel Landeskog is going to become an unrestricted free agent. Nathan MacKinnon his contract will be due. Cale Makar will be having, his first contract after his, entry-level deal is up. You've got to worry about Philip Grubauer. There are so many decisions to make that this one decision isn't about just Mikko Rantanen. It's about the franchise as a whole. So they're going to want to get something done. Whereas if you look at Tampa has a lot of cornerstone pieces already locked up between Stamkos, Kucherov, Victor Hedman, Andre Vasilevsky, that they want to get Braden Point there. So they might have a little bit more time because they can kind of soften that blow. Whereas with the Avalanche, it's not to say that you don't have other talented players on that team, but at the same time, you don't really have a winger who can do exactly what Mikko Rantanen does on that first line alongside Nathan MacKinnon and Gabriel Landeskog.
I've heard rumors, and this could just be fan rumors and people not sure what's going on. People thinking maybe the Avs are holding out for something. Are they holding out for somebody else potentially in this field of one name I've heard speculated is Mitch Marner. Any chance of that happening, them saying goodbye to Mikko and picking up somebody else?
They want to keep Mikko Rantanen. Just from talking to different people within the organization, Mikko Rantanen is their priority. It's the silly season where people wonder, could they do this? Could they do that? But the thing is, they really like this group of players that they have. It's a young group that's homegrown, that they've developed. And with Mikko Rantanen, with the time they've invested with him in the AHL and watching him go from what he was as a 20-goal scorer in his first full season to now with one more season where he's above 85 points. Let's say he plays a full season, he's probably hitting the 90-point barrier. He's a guy that is on that border between star and, let's say, superstar with one more. Let's say if he can get past the 90-point plateau, he is someone they definitely want to keep. But again, right now with the Avalanche, it's just about A, just trying to see what the market dictates, but B, just trying to figure out what is a price that makes all parties involved happy.
Makes sense. Ryan, how have you been enjoying the off season? Did you get any vacation in, anything like that?
Well, yeah, we got a chance to go to Las Vegas. So word to the wise, don't drive through Death Valley when it's 121 degrees outside and have a flat tire.
Do you have tires left after that, or they just melt away?
Yeah, we experienced the flat tire, so fun times trying to change that. But no, it's been a good off season, but I think like so many people who are kind of following this team, you've had time off, you're still kind of paying attention to what goes on because, I mean, again, like it's what goes on with Mikko Rantanen. You saw the Sam Girard deal, which took 5 days to get done, JT Compher's deal. I mean, again, it's one of those things where, I mean, as you guys know, there really is no off season anymore. I mean, yes, games aren't being played, but there's so many things going on behind the scenes that fans care about that are worth noting and chronicling and just kind of putting in the context that you get time off, but you also look at it and realize, like right now, like, oh, we're in the midpoint of August. Pretty soon camp will be starting, and then preseason games will be played, and then next thing you know, the regular season will start, and away we go.
Yeah. Ryan S. Clark, I cannot thank you enough for bearing with some technical difficulties and everything that was going on and being our first guest on From the Cheap Seats. We appreciate it, sir. And I'm sure we will talk a lot more as the season goes on.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're the man. He does great stuff. You can read his stuff on The Athletic, the Denver section of The Athletic. You can subscribe to that and check out Ryan S. Clark. He's also on Twitter. What's your handle on Twitter?
Ryan_S_Clark.
Lots of underscores. Just remember that. All right, Ryan S. Clark. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. We'll talk soon. I'll show you. I'll show you my beard next time.
Oh God, that'll be fun.
Take it easy, sir. Thank you.
Hey, you too. Bye-bye.
Right, bye-bye. So you heard it there. He's talking about this is going to get done. The question I should have asked him that I forgot to ask him was, does it matter that Nathan MacKinnon might potentially be making less money than Mikko Rantanen? That's been a big talk during the offseason, at least for a little while, that Nate's deal is going to stick around for a while and he'll have a little bit less money than Mikko.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a situation where MacKinnon's, he's not locked up for the next 10 years on that. He's got, 2-3 years left on that deal. And I think that's where, honestly, the Sam Girard deal becomes such a big issue, is we locked him up for a lot less than he's going to get down the road, which frees up a few million more you can put at MacKinnon's way. And I think that'll all balance out in the end. I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem, especially having that little bit of extra money to work with.
Yeah. It's nice to have extra money. Speaking of Nathan MacKinnon, he was on Spittin' Chicklets this week. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it. I listened to the interview. I only listen to Spittin' Chicklets usually to grab the interview. But their interviews are usually really interesting because these guys open up a whole lot more than they do when they're just in the locker room talking to media, local media, things like that. Some of the interesting things I thought he had said that he does think the call was offside. He agrees that the call was offside. He said that, though, this is something I don't think we've seen reported anywhere, that the latch that night was very sticky, that they were having trouble with the latch. And you guys know what we're talking about. And if you don't, it's the call in Game 7 against the Sharks. Gabriel Landeskog trying to get on the bench. It looks like he has his foot on the blue line, but apparently Nate thinks he was offside anyway. And the latch is sticky, can't get inside. And apparently Varley, who was the backup goalie that night, was too far away. They usually act as the doorkeeper. Was too far away to get up and open the latch.
It's entirely the reason we didn't re-sign him, by the way.
Exactly. I guess that's what happened to Varley. The other interesting thing that I took away from the MacKinnon interview, and there was a lot of other stuff and chit-chat about stuff they do during the offseason, but the thing I thought was interesting, he was talking about his time when he struggled, the couple of seasons when he was not playing at the top of his ability, and they kind of asked him, hey, what changed? He has a sports psychologist. And got a sports psychologist here in Denver to basically get him out of his head. He admitted during the podcast that he tends to be a hothead. We saw a little bit of that last season, right before you and I went on that road trip, the Canadian road trip, when you saw him yelling at Jared Bednar on the bench, and they kind of made up and made nice after that. But he admits he's a hothead and needed a sports psychologist.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's something that Matt Duchene also had when he was here, and it's good to see these athletes willing to get sort of past the stigma of, oh, he's talking to a therapist or something. It's, I mean, whatever it takes to make you better. I love that they're willing to do that. And I love that they're being open about it. It's like, hey, there's nothing wrong with working through whatever's going through your head. I mean, it's an emotional game.
Well, and your head is as much of a muscle as your arms and your legs.
Absolutely.
In hockey or any sport, and frankly, in life in general. And I think if more people got out there and talked about that kind of thing in the public, the less stigma would be there.
Definitely. I mean, there's tons of people out there that are struggling daily, and having someone like Mikko Rantanen talking openly about how, hey, I go talk to someone and it really helps me. I mean, even outside the world of sports.
Nate,
Excuse me.
You're good. Well, we have MacKinnon or Rantanen on the mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
having someone like him talking about it openly, I think outside of sports is going to help a lot of people.
Absolutely is. Not that long left until the preseason.
Oh, thank God.
I know camp is what, September?
Yeah.
I think September 14th.
Rookie camp starts up mid-September, and
Yeah.
preseason right after that.
So coming up after the break, we're going to talk to Mark Castellano. He is the organist for the Colorado Avalanche. He's even bringing in his keyboard.
Can't wait.
We're going to plug it into the board, see if it works.
We have some requests.
Based on the ability for me to get that Ryan S. Clark phone call to work, we'll see. We'll see if we can get the organ to actually work. This is the beginning stages of a podcast, folks. We hope that if you're listening, you'll hit us up at Steve Staeger on Twitter, at fake_Dante is Jeff on Twitter, and what's our
not at 9 cheap seats. Number 9 cheap seats.
9 cheap seats. So hit us up there if you've got any questions, or if you want to be on the show. We want to feature fans as our guests on this show. So we'll be right back after the break with Mark Castellano.
In one trendy Denver neighborhood, right next to a golf course, we find an old home almost hidden in plain sight.
He's been missing for more than a year.
Inside, a 69-year-old man
Basically disappeared.
so removed from life and people, nobody knew he vanished.
Well, there's no way he was there when we searched him.
Unsanitary conditions hindered their investigation.
More after the coroner's report.
Who's to blame? How does a man become
He was found in his own
Inside
home.
lost at home? Check out the entire second season of Blame wherever you listen to podcasts.
Oh, that sounds great. Listen to that. Playing live in the 9 News conference room. Our first guest here on From the Cheap Seats, Mark Castellano, is with us. I'll let him get to the end of the song. Love that. That is the actual organ that plays inside Pepsi Center.
That is.
How cool is that? So to explain this, this is a keyboard.
Correct.
And which is a horrible way for me to describe it, because I'm sure there's a much more professional way of talking about the instrument you have in front of you there.
That is exactly what you call it.
Okay. So any specific specs to it, anything like that?
No, it's a Korg, and I use this for the percussion sounds and the organ sounds.
Got it.
Very cool.
So, Mark, you are, going into your 3rd season now as the Avs organist?
I think it might be the 4th.
4th season.
I'm not sure.
My whole time flies.
How on earth do you get involved in something like this?
It was kind of a fluke, which was really funny. I was finishing up my master's degree, and I was like, I could do this anywhere. So I was going to take my master's. I was actually probably going to do it in New York or Paris, just sit in a coffee shop and just do it. And then I didn't get the loan I wanted, so I was like, I guess I'll just stay in Denver. And then I was like, I should probably look for more income because I don't have a job anymore.
Like we all are, yes.
Exactly. I used to teach public school, high school, middle school music, and then I was like, I'm just gonna do my master's and see what I do. So after that, I was just like, all right. I was looking on Indeed for a job, and there, lo and behold, was the organist job. And I was like, I'm never going to get this job. There's no way. But I'm going to do it anyway. So I auditioned, and they hired me on the spot.
Do you have a lot of experience with hockey before this?
No, one game.
One game?
I watched one game of hockey. It was the December before that. And I saw the organist there, and I was like, oh, that's a cool job. I wonder how someone gets that job.
So this was an Avs game that you went to?
Yeah, I went to an Avs game.
First hockey game ever?
First hockey game ever, yeah.
Wow.
I was like, these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
So,
You did
yeah.
a pretty great job.
Yeah, we saw that.
Well, you have, if I recall, a very funny story of how, after, you didn't think you were going to get this job.
Not at all. There's no reason for me to get this job. I mean, I can play keyboard, and I know a lot of popular songs and have a great ear, but I was like, I know nothing about hockey. So I was, I told my friends, I was like, if I get this job, I'm going to put on a cake. I'm going to eat my words that says, I'll never get this job.
And you did.
I got a cake, and I ate that cake.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So obviously the question I think everybody wants to know is what's the wildest thing that's happened to you while you were up there? What's the craziest thing that you have done up in the rafters of Pepsi Center?
Craziest thing. Wow. There's been some pretty fun people up there. So just looking over at the crowd and seeing people and they're like waving at you and I'm just like, that's weird. Why are they looking at me? It's like, oh, keep looking at the hockey game. But after a while, it's kind of fun. You're just like, oh, you see people over and over again and they're pretty cool. So they recognize you. It's nice to be in the nosebleed section because, those people they're pretty chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always been a good group up there. It's good season ticket sections. So you see the same people over and over.
Exactly.
Do people recognize you? Do they come up to you and say, like after the game, like anything to you? I'm always curious about that because you're like the invisible person that's up in the rafters of Pepsi Center.
Yeah, exactly. But
I know where to look for you now.
Yeah, I'm like right on the corner of like, what is it, 340 and between 340 and 330.
Yeah.
And there are people. One night, these like 4 guys came up and they were just like, we've been watching you like a bunch of times and you do such a good job. And it was like, that meant a lot to me because I was like, you're always down on yourself. You never like get like, I'm not Dieter.
Yeah. Dieter, by the way, is the organist for the Dodgers, right? There's this whole kind of network of organists inside stadiums who Organist Alert is the Twitter account, and they post cool videos of different things that guys are doing all over like different sports leagues, and so because hockey is synonymous, I feel like with an organ, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I think baseball too.
Yeah,
which would be
I think baseball almost more so.
Yeah,
but
I didn't know that there was organ in hockey until I went to a hockey game. And I was like, that's a cool thing.
And I feel like a lot of people will go to these games, and especially these days, assume that it's just someone sitting up there with an iPod just flipping through a playlist.
Exactly.
And it's very cool that there's still this active community of people doing this live.
Totally.
Which is kind of what it is for the Nuggets, right? Because the Nuggets, you record tracks for them.
Yeah, I recorded all the Nuggets tracks. So when you go to Nuggets games, you hear me as well, but I'm not there.
But you're not there live.
Exactly.
Well, it saves, you don't have to be there like every night. You'd have to be there basically every night, right?
I wouldn't mind it, I like basketball too.
Good money. When you got there and you were like, hey, I'm going to be your organist, now show me your organ.
Yeah.
Were you surprised to find out that there wasn't an organ?
There was another keyboard there, but it was like way smaller, and it was way difficult to play. So.
Is it weird though that it's not an organ?
Yeah, I would say so. But I mean, there's no room up there at all for an organ. I mean, we were talking at one point that like where they have their DJs play sometimes, they would put me like in the crowd, and I would be with an organ in the crowd, pretty much like near one of the spots. And I was like, that's pretty cool. But then, they transfer all this stuff all the time where they have the monster trucks and all these things. It's like, what are we going to do, move the organ every single time?
Oh, couldn't you just put a cover over it or something? Couldn't you play the organ for the Monster Fest stuff?
That would be pretty awesome. You wouldn't be able to hear.
What do you play for? Play us something you'd play for Monster Fest. I don't know. Like, what would you?
Monster.
I don't know what would We got to take advantage of the fact that we have a keyboard plugged into the board here.
Maybe something, I don't know, more rock sounding.
Yeah, like a little. All that picture is Sunday with that music playing in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah. So you play the standards.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and play some of the. I guess maybe we'll play some of the standards. What's the most common thing you play?
A lot of clappy stuff. So things to get people to clap. So. Yeah.
Oh,
that was awesome.
Sorry, that was well delayed.
It's okay.
The clappy stuff, the "Let's Go Avalanche" thing.
Yeah. And then I just move it around to different keys, whatever I'm feeling. If there's like a tense thing, then I might go up half steps. If we're doing well, and I might like go up in whole steps or something. So I always think about these musical concepts to just push the audience and their emotions.
That's another thing. I always assumed that it was just a set. Here's what you're, not necessarily a playlist, but in things like that, this is the key that it's in.
Yeah.
And it's got to be fun to be able to, just read the crowd and just go with that.
Oh yeah, like if if we're on a power play or something, and they're like, my boss is like, play Let's Go Avalanche. I might do something like this. Like something that's a little more intense.
I always think, and I started paying a whole lot more attention after I met you, because I remember hearing the Let's Go Avalanche and the different things the organ did, just the standards. But then if you actually pay attention and you listen very closely, you sometimes are doing some thematic stuff that a lot of people don't realize. Like, what are some of the themes that you've done before?
Oh, wow. So many things. Just to get the crowd, like, to kill time between whistles, I'll do something like this, like, but I'll change it around to different keys, and it's always major keys, which are weird. If you listen to like any of the organ tracks and things that other people do, they have like weird harmonies like next to it. So I'm just like, why is that? It's just very dissonant.
Like what?
I don't know, instead of just like a straight up, it's something weird where they're like.
Oh yeah, the like extra couple of it's almost like a not minor, but
yeah,
but like dissonance. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll go like in different ways, and it's just like very interesting. So I kind of clean it up a little bit. So I make it like as straightforward, and then if I need to make it a little more dissonant, I can just add some notes. So that's very weird.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Exactly.
How many goals do the Avs have to be trailing by for you to really get dissonant on there?
Oh my God! Like how they're trailing on people. Oh man, I can. When they're doing well, I can play a lot of fun stuff. So I'll do like The Simpsons and a whole bunch of other things, just because if they're doing well, then everyone's happy. So.
Yeah, if they're doing poorly, it's just back to dun, 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 dun,
mashing your forehead on the
pretty much
keyboard.
it. Just getting the crowd to get into it. We need you. That's it.
So has this made you into a hockey fan?
Oh, extremely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I watch like every game, and then on the off seasons, I'll watch all the Stanley Cup games. And stuff like
Are
that.
you missing hockey season right now?
Yes, I'm going through withdrawal. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But soon to start again in September. We got 3 pre-games, so that's awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So you spend a lot of time upstairs. Do you ever get downstairs? Do you ever meet the players? Do you ever talk to the players? And have you had any kind of interaction with any of them?
In the basement where we like all walk through, I will walk past the coach and like some players sometimes and just be like, "Hey Barry, great game,"
And do they know that who you are?
No, probably not. I don't know.
Well, that's a bummer. I was hoping like you were hanging out with Landeskog on the weekend or something.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But no, not at this moment.
Yeah.
I think we have a goal for this podcast now is to introduce you to as many of the players as we can.
I'd be down with that.
It's a good idea. What do you enjoy playing the most?
What songs?
Yeah.
Wow. It's funny. There's certain people who react to certain songs, so I'll play them when I know they're there. Like one of the security guards really likes Inagata Davida. So every time he's there, he's like, Inagata Davida. And I'm like, all right. So
Inagata Davida. I'm going to do the same thing. I asked you specifically for this song.
So I'll do like that, and then it goes
he's
on
waiting
for 25
for the
minutes.
he's waiting for the dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
I love that. But you play. I know this is a hard subject for me to ask you about, but I know when the Red Wings are in town, you play your fair share of Red Wing sucks things,
Correct.
stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is just basically dun 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 dun.
Well, yeah, it's just oh man, my brain. I haven't done this in like 2 months.
This is good practice for you.
Great practice for me.
Red Wings suck.
Yeah.
Do you look after any other organists? I mean, I know you follow Organist Alert, but is there somebody that you look up to who's out there?
Yeah, well, just everyone in general, but Dieter's like pretty cool. Anyone on Organist Alert, I'll see something that they're playing.
By the way, that's at Organist Alert if you
Yeah.
want to follow that on Twitter. I did after I met you, and it was fascinating.
It's amazing because as an organist, there's no organist school that we went to. So we all just kind of like follow what other people are doing. So when Baby Shark started becoming a big thing, everybody was like, oh, and the organist for this played Baby Shark. And I was just like, what's Baby Shark? So then I looked it up, and I was like, I guess I'll play that. And we played it when we were playing the Sharks one time, and everybody went crazy. The DJ was like, man, that was such a good idea. And I was like, I don't know, I found it on Organist Alert.
I'm on Organist Alert's Twitter handle right now. This is the Buffalo Sabres organist playing...
Take me out to the ball game.
Yeah, for the Buffalo Bisons.
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know who the Sabres organist is. Curtis Cook is his name.
He's super cool. They're all really awesome.
You ever talk to any of them?
Yeah, I try to be friendly with them when we're playing with them in the playoffs. So I'll just like message them and be like, hey, so it looks like it's just us. Okay.
Have you, I mean, you were, this was your first, well, I guess the season before was your first real good playoff experience. But what is that building like compared to the regular season during the playoffs?
Like the playoff season?
Yeah.
It's insanely loud. The decibels go from like like 100 to like 120 plus. It's super loud in there for like 3 hours straight. I've never seen that before, and it's just like, wow, I have to like cover my ears. The energy is insane. The light shows and things that they do for that, it's so professional and amazing.
Yeah,
and it's cool because I know all the people who do all that stuff, so I can, when we're standing up there, it's like the DJ's next to me, then it's my boss who's he does the whole production. Then next to them is the people who run all the boards. Then the people who run the lighting. Then the sound engineer. So like I see everybody all the time.
I honestly think if you asked a fan out there how many people are up there controlling all of those things, I don't think many of them would know that it's it's a DJ, it's an actual video production crew, it's the guy who goes to the website or dictionary.com and looks up spectacular, and maybe that's not just a job.
No, it's like it's insane how many people are actually there. Then there's people on the floor who are running around doing things and then setting up t-shirt tosses, and then you have the mascot. You have all these things going, and it's crazy.
I'm trying to pull this up. Here we go. This is, what do they call the computer again? Do you remember? The computer that plays the
spectacular
that thing?
I don't know the name of the computer, but yeah, we have all these sound bites up there, which is hilarious.
Spectacular.
There it is. I had to find it. It took a minute, and there was like outstanding too. After they score a goal. So, what are your hopes for this season?
Oh man.
I mean, obviously, I think all of our hopes are aligned. Yeah. But, I mean, is there any goal that you've set this season that you want to try to do something funky?
Oh, yeah. Every year there's something new. I'd like to try to get a new organ. I'd like to get like a Nord, which would be pretty cool. The only problem with getting a Nord is that I have to get a drum machine because they don't have drum sounds usually. You can download things into it and kind of make it happen, but I don't know.
Putting the organ back in, sorry.
No, you're fine.
This is my very cool technical radio studio here.
I'm an old guy, and it takes a lot to learn new tricks. So I kind of got what I got, and I like it right now. But I play all my drum stuff in my bottom hand. My left hand does all of my stuff. So I'd have to, like, get a drum machine and organize all that stuff. And my boss really doesn't like the drum machine sound as well. So that's
more than this. Because do you want to play a little bit on the drums? Yeah. Ooh, that's impressive.
So yeah, I learned how to play the drums in my bottom hand.
I love it. Love it. So maybe potentially a new organ, but you don't really want to do it.
I don't know. We'll find out.
An organ would be cool.
An organ would be awesome, but the sounds you can get on the Nord, the sound that guy had from the Sabres.
Yeah.
That's a Nord.
Oh, it is?
It's not an organ. So play that soundbite again.
Oh, hold on. Let me play it. I gotta unplug stuff and plug it back in. Hold on.
Sorry, I'm throwing
Get my computer back in the board here. There we go. Oh, it's a small keyboard too, just looking at it. Look at how excited he is to play that.
But like, you hear how his organ sounds, and my organ is more of a European organ sound. That's what it says on the, I guess.
It's called European organ?
Labeled, it says Euro pipe. And I was like, which should be laughed at.
Oh, you want the like grittier sound, the actual like baseball park sound.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can get that on the Nord.
Yeah. Have you seen the one at Little Caesars Arena? It's probably the newest arena in the league.
No, I haven't.
The organist there plays, and it sounds real funky. Let me see if I can find a video of the Little Caesars Arena organ. But I when I was there at a game once, I just typed in Little Caesars, and now it's recommending arena organ. When I was there, it just has a funky sound. It's almost like a bell organ.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like, every stadium will have either a real organ or a keyboard or a synthesizer or some sort of, like, organ sound. And they're all different, which is so interesting.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of a range.
Yeah, variety. You know?
Let's see if I can actually. Whoop. Whoa.
Forgot to turn the volume down.
Let's not do that.
It's like how every goal horn is different.
Exactly. Gives a little bit of personality to the venue.
By the way, he's playing. This is the Little Caesars organ. Oh, wait. No, it's not. It's still the Buffalo Sabres guy. I need to learn to cut sound on my computer. All right.
That's so funny.
This is the weird organ at Little Caesars Arena. If you can hear it.
Huh. It's interesting.
Yeah, it just has a funky sound to it. I don't know.
Yet another thing the Red Wings didn't quite get right.
Go ahead. You can just for good time's sake, if you'd like, you can play a little Red Wings suck. Just to make up for that. There you go. Thank you. I feel like we have to do that since we brought it up.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you think if we win a Stanley Cup, we'll get an organ?
That would be amazing.
Should we make the promise here on the podcast that if I am Stan Kroenke, I will get the team a new organ?
I cannot vouch for him or his organization. My comments are my own.
You're like a Twitter bio right now.
That's what I have to do.
Yeah, I like it. Maybe we'll get you a new organ. So outside of playing the organ for the Avalanche, what else are you up to?
I play in a gypsy jazz group called Deja Swing. And we just played last night at the Little Man Ice Cream. We play all over Denver and a whole bunch of places, and we have videos and
the new Little Man, the one over on.
No, but I played. I was in a band, and we opened up for that one, and then there was another one in Stapleton called Constellation, and we opened up for that one.
Oh, nice.
So my groups have been opening up for all the ice cream places.
It's a pretty good gig if you can get it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Cool. So gypsy jazz, and then you teach lessons as well. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I have like over 50 students, 50 to 60.
How do you get this organist job to be a full-time job?
Well, I would get the Rockies to hire me.
Yeah, right? How do they not have an organ?
I don't know. Like, they don't have a DJ maybe either? Because the DJ for the Avalanche used to be the DJ for them.
For the Rockies?
Yeah.
DJ Triple T?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We're good friends.
We might have him on the show at some point. He's a good dude.
You should. He's a really fun guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. What else are we missing about your life and about hockey?
I don't know. There's so many things.
So you've got 41 home games.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully many more playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
Are there some songs that you just get really sick of playing?
No. I try to, like, reinvent them. Like, throughout the season, I'll be like, I'll try it in a different key, or I'll just try to arrange it differently. But yeah, there's certain ones, like maybe.
Who decides when you play?
Either my boss or the DJ, or like we'll trade off. We'll be like, oh, you get this whistle, I'll get the next whistle, or we do something that's called repeater, which is he'll play a song and I'll follow it up with the same song, and we'll do it as many whistles as we can until something happens where we're like, we should probably stop doing this.
until a 5-minute major or something happens.
Someone got hurt, or like we're down or something. It's like, all right, the fun's over.
From the team's perspective, and from a guy who works for the team, how did you handle the exit from the playoffs this year? Did you see that game? Did you see that play? Did you see?
Yeah, I watched everything.
Yeah. How did you handle all that?
I was not happy with that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was happy with that. We were at our watch party. It was downtown. I forgot the name of the bar's name. But we have that. And we were all there watching. And it's just like, that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it was weird. Had history repeated itself, I heard that we had played that same team and the same thing had happened, but we beat them in overtime, and we would have been tied, and we would have went into overtime, but we didn't. So I was like, yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's a bummer.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it was a bummer.
That was a rough one.
Played out.
Yeah, but we're looking forward and upward and onward.
You're excited for this team, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
They've been doing so well.
Yeah.
They got into the playoffs last year, and then 2 years ago, and then this year, hopefully. So maybe they'll make it to round 3 or take it, you know?
It'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be pretty great.
Build up one round at a time.
Yeah.
Almost there.
Well, if you want to get at Mark on Twitter, it's Organist Mojo, right? Organ Mojo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at Organist Alert is the handle where you can follow all the different organists.
Mm-hmm.
Mark is at Pepsi Center for mostly all the home games, right? 41 pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much all of them.
Pretty good. And you can catch him. He's up there. 340 is the section. If you see him, stop by and say hello. Yeah. He would really appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll know a little bit more about him now. Do you want to play us out of the podcast?
Sure.
All right. I'm going to keep you down. We'll do a little talky talk, but play whatever you'd like. Thank you, Mark Castellano, for coming in, chatting with us. So we will be back next week with a new episode, our second episode. I thought this one went relatively well.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got this. I'm Steve Staeger, at Steve Staeger on Twitter. He's Geoff Sawtell, at @fake_Dante on Twitter. We'll see you next week.